Hello. This is going to be a relatively short video. Seb asked a question. I gave him somewhat of a flippant response to it, and I thought about it, and it's actually a pretty good question. So he asked, of course, he had to use Latin because he thinks that makes him sound smarter. But he asked if, since ignorance of the law is no excuse, how do reasonable people deal with different states having different laws? And it's actually very simple, and it surprises me that this particular community doesn't understand how simple it is. You don't make yourself a problem. Laws are designed to deal with problems. If you're not a problem, then there's probably not a law criminalizing your behavior. If you're causing a problem, then they will try to find a law that criminalizes your behavior. There's a famous Russian, like KGB guy, I don't remember his name, but he said essentially, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. Well, the way our particular system of justice is designed to work is if someone commits a crime, then they investigate the crime. But if you have made yourself into a problem, then they will review you and try to figure out what they could charge you for. Whether or not it sticks is a different subject. But that's step number one is don't be a problem. And that's also the basis for the advice that has been given out and rejected so often is if you are going to be a problem, i.e. if you're going to audit, you're going to be a problem. If you're going to be a problem, make sure your shit's squared away. Make sure that your car is in mint condition. All the lights work, all the signals work. Make sure you put your seatbelt on. Make sure you use your turn signals. Make sure you follow the speed limit. Blah, 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 blah. Because they are going to look for a reason. You've made yourself a problem. They're going to look to find a reason to hem you up. The next basic thing that most people do is they don't push it to the lines. There are lines between non-criminal and criminal behavior. And those lines are very broad and gray and fuzzy. And the closer you get to those lines, the more likely it becomes that you will be detained, arrested, charged, convicted. And in order to combat that, most people don't approach those lines. They stay away from them. They try to avoid doing things that have an increased probability of being detained, being arrested, being charged, being convicted. And you don't have to be a genius to figure these things out. Again, don't be a problem. Society has modeled its laws based on the things that society wants out of people. And so if you're acting like a normal, upstanding member of society, you don't attract attention. I'm sitting here thinking about speeding because I sped all the way to work. I speed every day. I speed on the way home. I speed to court. I speed home from court. Speed limit 70. I'm doing 80, generally speaking. And traffic, generally speaking, is doing 80. And society doesn't have a real issue with that. But what that speed limit allows the officers to do is it allows the officers to find the people who are being the problems, the people who are weaving in and out of traffic, the people who are tailgating, the people who have signals out, things like that. It allows the officers to pull people over if people are acting like a problem. And there's a reason why speeding isn't a crime. It's an infraction, which is like a quasi-crime. But there's a reason for it. It's because normal people do it. Society does it. And society doesn't really think it's a huge problem unless you're being an asshole, unless you're being a problem. So the moral of the story is normal people, reasonable people handle laws, not by knowing them. Most people don't know the laws. They know the basics. Don't murder, don't steal, your typical first 6 or so of the 10 commandments. Just generally don't be an asshole is a real good place to start. And you probably won't commit any crimes if you refrain from being an asshole. Oh, well, what about Freeman? Oh, he's so nice all the time. Oh, no, he's an asshole. He's a passive aggressive asshole. Unless you're a complete retard, you could see what he's doing. He's being an asshole. Oh, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking. No, you're being an asshole. Everybody knows it. Everybody can tell. Ted Nugent, not the actual famous Ted Nugent, but the guy who likes to shoot turtles in ditches in Arkansas. Um, he said if you want to really irritate cops, don't use any swear words and phrase your criticisms in the form of questions, because that really irritates them. Everybody knows. Everybody in this community knows when you're being an asshole. But that's my point. My point is reasonable people deal with having crimes they don't know about by not being assholes, by not being the problem. If you're not the problem, if you're not the asshole, you're not committing a crime, generally speaking, and everything's good. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.